It's time to get real, reality TV aficionados. Welcome to the Georgio Says podcast. I'm your host, the one and only Georgio Takanakis, and I'm here serving you the juiciest updates on all your favorite reality shows weekly, as well as the hottest pop culture trends, and even exclusive interviews that will leave you wanting more. This podcast will keep you on the edge of your seat. We need to talk about this. The Georgio Says podcast starts now.
All right, welcome guys. This is a live podcast. I know. A lot of you have been coming at me in the DMs, rightfully so. They're like, what's up? You haven't posted a new episode of the podcast in a long time. Are you not doing it anymore? Listen, I've been really trying to test out some different things. I initially wanted to do them Monday through Friday, but then at the time there wasn't enough content to kind of cover that much. And a lot of you also probably felt that it was too many. So I think what I'm going to try to do is scale back to 3 and do them live, because ultimately what I enjoy and what a lot of you guys enjoy about what it is that I do, which is give you the tea and recap the shows, is being able to engage with me. So when I'm live on TikTok or Instagram, it is nice to be able to engage in real time. So I thought, what better way to do that with my podcast than do it live? Duh. So I will be recapping Real Housewives of Potomac. But before I do that, hi, Evelyn. Thanks for joining. Before we break down Real Housewives of Potomac, which my partner Jeff will be joining for that shortly, I want to touch briefly on my BravoCon experience. I know you guys are waiting for a full-on recap, but I want you guys to know that I'm working on something a little bit bigger in terms of the project that will include my experience at BravoCon, behind the scenes, and everything in between. So just hold tight. There is something coming. It's just not going to be a standard recap. It's going to kind of be a little bit more of a, it's a bigger project for me at this point. So stay tuned for that. But overall, my whole experience at BravoCon was very, very validating, I guess is the right word. Not because, well, I'll be honest. I have battled imposter syndrome. I'm not alone in that. A lot of you guys have reached out and we've talked about this and shared it. I don't think I've ever really shared it on the podcast, but I have struggled with imposter syndrome for quite a bit of time. And through this journey, I've learned to kind of battle that. And BravoCon this year was obviously on a bigger scale. It was in Vegas. I've never been to Vegas. And so, that was really kind of like a lot of immersing yourself into something that is just a lot going on all at once. And it's truly a city that does not sleep. But I had an amazing time. I was so thankful that my partner could come and experience BravoCon, this time from a different lens. He is my producer and videographer, so he helped capture most of what it is that I'm going to be showcasing when this project that I was just discussing comes out. So, and I just saw him backstage, so he's probably having connection issues, but I'll continue with the BravoCon update. So all in all, I had an amazing time. I got to see pretty much every housewife you could imagine. Everyone was super lovely. I'm going to get to the chat here in a second because he's hot mess history. I haven't talked to you in a long time, and no, she did not give me a hug, but I think I only saw her in passing. And look, I wouldn't have been one of those people that would have gone up to her and asked for a photo anyway, because I just feel like that's so fake. But I did see her in passing. I did see her posting content, but all in all, everyone was great. Actually, I'm going to bring Jeff on. He's backstage, so he can help because he was obviously there. There he is.
Hi,
Hello,
everyone.
Jeff.
Hello,
Yes,
hello,
yes.
hello.
Jeff, I was just talking about I was giving everyone a quick update on BravoCon because I hadn't really said all too much since we got back. And I also explained that I'm kind of working on a bigger project at the moment that will encompass the full experience I had at BravoCon. So, but I was
You were
just,
at BravoCon?
yeah,
Oh my
weren't you?
God. Oh, that's right, I was.
Yeah, you were filming a lot of the
I
content.
was.
But yeah, so uh BravoCon, I was just saying how I pretty much met and saw every housewife imaginable. And it was very validating. And I was just saying how I through this process and this journey that I've been on with everything that I'm doing, I battled imposter syndrome a lot. And up until Vegas, I was like riding the fence hard. Whether or not I showed it or not is a whole different story. I have a good bluff face, but internally, I've never been to Vegas before, so I was a fish out of water already because I didn't know what I was going to walk into. Uh, did not have. This is, I think, the wildest thing of the whole thing. I had no 3-day pass to this event. Okay,
Mm-mm.
I was able, thanks to Caitlin, shout out to Besties by Bravo, for being on the phone with me when I was trying to purchase the 3-day pass, but could not. And the only thing I could get was a general admission ticket for Saturday, which I was still going to be fine with that. However, when we got there, it just so happened that Thea from Your Moms Are Watching was at an event that Dry Bar and Clorox Bleach were hosting for some of us. And so we ended up chatting. We were very friendly as it is. She's been nothing but kind to me. But we were chatting and she was like, you know, so she really helped me out. She had an extra pass and she literally on Friday morning, we left the Dry Bar event. Remember, Jeff, because you're like, where are we going? And I was like, we're going with Thea because she might be able to help me. And she did. So real quick, I do want to thank Thea. And I have her. So Thea, I don't know if you guys know, she just launched the unofficial Real Housewives Ultimate Trivia book. This is a meaty book. It's not a pamphlet by any means. And she did an amazing job with it. So just shout out to her. She was super kind to me for doing that. And I'll always remember that. So
Good thing you went to that Dry Bar event, huh?
yeah.
Because
Which by the way,
you guys were sitting right next to each other, right?
yeah, it just
She was
yeah,
on the
she
other side. You
literally
might never have saw her.
I probably wouldn't have because honestly, when I was leaving, I saw people on the other side. I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were here." Uh, so yeah, so that was fun, and that kind of kicked off the 3 days. And Jeff, you didn't come with me the first day, but you got
No,
to explore a little bit, because you've been to Vegas before.
I have done Vegas. Yes, when I was like 24 for a bachelor party with like 15 like straight white guys.
I bet that was fun.
Oh, I had a
Actually, I
blast.
don't. I'm sure you did. I listen. I was just. I didn't know where we were walking half the time. Everything there is literally well, and also they were setting up for the Formula One situation,
Right.
so that kind of played into stuff. But walking around there is wild. You most of the time are indoors. Like people are not making that part up. In my mind, it's not that I didn't believe it. I just was like, well, how? Because everything that I see about Vegas is all about the strip and the lights and the camera and the action, which you do walk on the sidewalks at some point, but it is mainly walking through casinos and you don't know what time it is. You don't really know when the fun's supposed to stop, right? But that's how it's meant to be that way.
You know, I've heard it referred to before, and I never really understood it, but I actually got it. A lot of people call it like adult Disney World because it really is. Like when you think about it, because they have like, you know, they have the Paris Hotel and the Circus Hotel and the like whatever. All the it's like all these like made up facades for adults. Like the one that's like Venetian, where you're like you walk in and all of a sudden it's like canals, and there's gondola rides with like a woman like serenading a couple, like rowing them down this canal, and there's like a sky, or like that
Yeah, it was
Fremont
very
Street experience. We have people ziplining like down the street. Like, okay.
it was basically a playground for adults. Quite literally, because I mean, you could do whatever you imagine. I mean, we walked into that VR place that was really cool that
That was
I wish we would have tried, but next
should have
time we
done that.
go,
I know. That
yeah,
was
so
really
that's
cool because
cool.
they had like a Squid Game VR experience,
Which I would have totally done because it looked fun because they show you a preview
yeah.
of it. But
Minus the just
anyways,
like getting shot and being killed. I didn't really like that aspect of it. But I'm
that was the
sure
only thing
there's
I
a
wasn't.
workaround. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder like how that plays into the game. But uh what else? I mean, BravoCon was great. I thought that it was the perfect place to have it. I mean, we did go to New York last year for it. This was more fitting. I feel like even everyone that went was more excited because they could get dressed up and be more animated,
Mhm.
and it was nice to see. I thought that the separation of how they did everything kept everything pretty organized, and the lines were not how they were last year. I will say that. I mean, I know there was a lot less tickets for sale this year, but overall, for the span of 3 days, I never once saw even a crazy bathroom line. And I do recall last year in New York, um, the lines being absolutely ridiculous. But I want to shout out to Bravo Babe because you were also with us on the way to BravoCon. We were at Dry Bar together. Shout out to you. I absolutely loved getting to know you more and meeting so many of the creators too, I have to say, that I don't get to meet face to face as easily because everyone lives in different cities and such. So it was really nice. It was like a strange I don't even know what to call it. It was like a girls trip kind of, but not. It was like it kind of felt that way. It was like all the content creators all in the same strip. Um Ooh, this is a good one. Well, did you see Juan at BravoCon? I doubt he was there. He wasn't there. I'm sure he wasn't.
No.
He barely wanted to film
No.
this season with Robin that he was forced to. So I would say the answer to that is no, Aquarius, the only real sign. And that is the truth. That is the only real sign. We are the only real signs.
No, that would not be a good situation. There's too many women that need hotel rooms in Vegas for.
Well, he's just a really nice guy. So he would get sucked into that very quickly.
I mean, he
That
wanted
could
to
get
pay for our
expensive.
hotel room. I wouldn't say no.
I don't think he's going to be doing that.
No, it took me a long time to book those hotels because it's expensive. I was like hustling points left and right. So yeah, I could
Yes,
call
and
Juan up
let's
in distress one night and be like, "You just cover my room for one night."
I wouldn't argue with that. Hi, Aaron D54. Let's say hi to everyone in the chat. Thanks for everyone joining. This is my first official live on YouTube that has been more than 2 minutes. So also shout out to StreamYard. This is my first time using it. A lot of my creator friends have been trying to get me to do this, and I finally bit the bullet. So here we are. So thanks for everyone joining because it's going to be fun. Okay, so the rest of BravoCon was pretty much what it was. It was great. Like I said, you will get to see the full experience I had with BTS, all of that included very soon. I want to jump into something really exciting that happened for me today, though. And it kind of happened very quickly. And I don't know if a lot of you caught it, but I did post earlier today. I was on Fox 5 DC's Good Day DC doing their Celebrity Dish segment. So I do want to take a minute and thank all the people and the team at Fox 5 DC for being so lovely, accommodating, and kind to me. And I had the best experience. I really felt at home there, oddly. It was my first time in their studio. So I really, really appreciate that. And when I get the full clip, I will obviously post it for you guys to see. I did have a great time. And so that was really fun for me and a great way to start the week. Again, thanks to Jeff for getting the BTS that I got from it today, because otherwise I would have been just in and out and nobody would have had proof I was there.
You did awesome. You
Oh,
did
thank you.
freaking phenomenal. Like before we were even done, my dad was texting me with like 5 of his friends that had watched it and was like, "Oh my god, that was so awesome!" And was like, "Nailed it, nailed it!" It was like, sure did. It was so cool experiencing that from like the green room too. And I was telling Giorgio like once like they were doing a segment or whatever, and then like once he came on and was like killing it, there was like people from like out in the hallways like of the green room that like just like came in to like start watching. I was also filming it, but like the security guard was like, I didn't know he was doing that today. I was like, yeah. Well,
I know everyone there was just so lovely. T's
So
hot
cool.
mess history. Thank you, my love. Thank you. You were part of the beginning of that journey that led me here. So thank you. No, I mean, listen, it was literally like I couldn't have imagined it any better. But I know why we're here today, and it's because we were just talking about Juan Dixon. We need to get into this latest episode because now it's starting to get like what is it? What is it called? Wasu? Osu? What is the term that they're throwing around with Wendy saying that her mom submits memes to shrine? Is it Wasu?
Something.
If someone wants to correct me in the chat, please do so. But this episode was probably the wildest episode, just from like a weird spiritual, like, what are we doing here with this storyline? Because, anyways, but we start off the episode basically where we left off, which was Ashley's housewarming party, her house by the sea. That's not by the sea. Well, actually, I don't know. Isn't it by the river? It is by a body. Isn't Arlington by the Patuxent?
I've never seen that river in Arlington. Alexandria is on the river, on the Potomac, but
okay, fair
she
enough.
calls
So
it
she,
the seaside in the city. That's what she calls it. Yeah,
oh,
seaside in the city. Which, like, you corrected me last night. I was like, I didn't even think she lived in the city. You're like, well, she lives in Arlington. I was like, all right. Maybe.
well, I'm sure a lot of people would argue Arlington's technically a city, but it's not the city and whatnot. But so we're there, but we start to see Ashley's messiness, right? Because we saw last episode, she sits Wendy down and she's basically saying, you know what? I was just talking to NECA and she starts throwing this whole Wasu thing around. But then we get a clip back to NECA actually talking, and she's not saying any of what Ashley's implying to Wendy in the moment. But so we get now the conversation has ended with Ashley and Wendy. They go back outside. Robin has now entered the villa. Okay. And I don't know what it is, guys. And I know you got some of you are going to think I'm just picking on Robin. I'm not. I do not mind her. I think I've said this from the get-go. She should stay on this show. So let me just preface that. But for some reason, whenever Robin's dressed up, she looks so uncomfortable, but she looks stunning. So, like, for instance, this pink dress that she had on with the long hair, stunning, loved it. But the way she carried herself was as if like she was like, oh my God. And I don't know if it was because of what she was wearing or she's uncomfortable in those types of settings, because maybe that's not her normal jam, which fine, that's normal. But it just felt like it was either that or she was uncomfortable because she knew she was going to walk into a bigger group of women and maybe that they were going to pile on her, but they didn't do that. So that was interesting. And then we have Karen wanting to basically connect with Robin because she's not happy about how things went last season with what Robin was throwing her way. And Karen was honest with Robin in the sense that they are not close friends. They have never historically been close. But that what Robin did last season was very hypocritical. She didn't say it like that, but she kind of was going in that direction. She's like, look, it went really left. And what she really probably wanted to say was, and look at what happened to you. So, Karen is on it this season. She's doing the handshakes with Mia. She is the fence. She is the fence. She's not
I
riding the
love
fence.
that.
She
I
is
love
the
that.
fence.
She said, what did she say? She's like, I'm the fence humper or something. Like that.
No, you hump me. That's what you say. You guys hump the fence. I'm the fence. You hump me. That's exactly what she's giving us. I am loving it. And thank you, Karen, the Grand Dame, because we couldn't do it without you. Jamie Lee, I hope we don't spoil anything for you during this recap, but it's that good. You should go back and watch it for yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. But
I don't know. That's a tough call. If I didn't have to watch 90 Day last night, I would have also watched. Well, when I finished watching 90 Day, Sister Wives was like queued up, and I was like, it's like almost.
There's a lot of shows going on. Just in general, I feel like there's like every season is back at the same time. It's like, can I have just a day to kind of sit back and reflect on this episode? But it's like boom, 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 which I love. But it's just craziness because between you recapping the TLC shows and then I'm doing the Bravo stuff, it's like the TV doesn't leave the station, TLC or Bravo, ever. I don't even think we watch anything else. Well, the Food Network, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, at least your shows are only 42 minutes. Mine are all like 2.5 hours, and it's not even like a premiere or a finale. It's just like, yeah, this is just our normal. Like, hi, tune in for another 4.5 hour show where we're just gonna replay scenes from the whole season over and over again.
Totally. Well.
So, anyway.
That's the one good thing about the Bravo shows. They keep it to the 45-minute max mark, so we get just enough that we can make an assessment. But, I think Karen is going to be a real strong player this season. I can tell by how she's come in so far. She's not here to mess with these ladies, but she is going to get the stuff started, and she's being producer Karen. If you notice, she's asking a lot of questions, and I love to see it because I like to see the switch up between them, because usually it's only the same ones being messy and asking these like questions. But now to see her do it in a very, I would say, graceful way. It's not messy. Like, she's not trying to get to the, even though she's not doing it in a way where you're like put off by her. But so then we continue at Ashley's house, but it's now Mia and Wendy. And I'm not sure why Mia just assumes that Wendy is just supposed to give her, I don't know, a pat. You literally tossed a drink and hit her with your handbag last year, and she didn't even really retaliate in any way. Not even physically. I just mean in any capacity did she retaliate. She left it where it was, and you expect what exactly? That she's going to just come in open arms and invite you to everything? That's just not feasible. But Mia then takes something that, because when Wendy talks about her show that she's doing, it turns into this like, well, if you're at a low vibration, then you're not going to understand what the format of my show is. And so Mia takes that as a dig, and then Wendy throws the word slow out there. And I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to deflect that Wendy may have used a word that probably wasn't the best, but I don't think she meant it in the way Mia's trying to now be like, well, because remember, she's with Karen and she's like, she said slow and my son is special education. And that's not, I don't think the two things are connecting. Like, I didn't pick that up. I mean, I don't know. You guys can let me know if you're watching in the chat, if you saw the episode, if you think that she was. I thought she was meaning it like, you're at a low vibration, Mia. I can't wait for you to rise up to where I'm at energetically to have this banter with you. That's what I took from it, just based on what she was saying about vibration and high energy. And, Mia's very low vibration. So I don't know. Maybe she did mean it in that capacity. What did you take it that way?
Yep.
Yeah, right. So no, I'm not saying that it was.
Wendy's always had this MO about reiterating her high level of intellectuality, right? I mean, we saw that from season 1, right? It was Dr. Wendy Osefo, African American female tenured professor, and all the accolades. She should certainly be extremely proud of all of her accomplishments and XYZ, all of that. But I mean, we do know that that's sort of been her tagline is portraying that, not portraying, like reminding us of the fact that she is very well educated and well read and whatnot. And I think I remember this scene, right? And I was watching, it was kind of like it was on in the background. I was doing something, but for me, it was just the fact that she kept repeating it because she directed it both at Ashley and Mia, right? Because it wasn't just
she kind of said it outward, and then if it hit you, it was meant for you, kind of.
Because even Ashley was like, I mean, I'm sure it would go like over my head, and she was like, yeah, probably, and that's why a lot of people. She's basically that's why like a lot of people like you can't even relate, and so like don't even bother. It's like it was just like boom, 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 and then so it's like okay, it's I think it's really obvious the point that she's trying to make, and so then that on top of the slow, I was like, I don't think if she came out with it, it was like some of y'all a little too slow to keep up with my train of thought or like what I'm trying to do on this show or this podcast. I don't think it would have been so generally derogatory. Am I not also saying that Mia's stretching and is kind of, you know, taking some low hanging fruit? Absolutely not. I also think that's the case, but it's a game, right?
Well,
it's like the game of sorry, or like it's like Candyland, you know, go too far and then someone's gonna get you.
Well, Mademoiselle H says Mia is a liar and is pulling anything out of her butt. And listen, I do not disagree with that. I do not disagree with that, Mademoiselle. You know what? Aquarius, the only real. Okay, so let's move on because this to me was a little bit of a dragged out scene. I don't think we needed like the back half of an episode and the first third of an episode covering Ashley's housewarming party. But
there wasn't even a fight at the housewarming party either. Like, well, did I miss the fight?
No, I mean, it wasn't a fight. I mean, there was some bickering between Mia and Wendy when she started going on that.
Stormed out. What?
I don't know. And also, I think Giselle.
Like Jen Hessler, like kicking people.
I will say, though, I caught what they were trying to do here with this, like, Robin and Giselle, like, fake, I'm confronting Giselle. When she sat down and she's like, well, Giselle basically said that Juan's not allowed to hang out with his coworkers. And she like does the whole let me finish. And basically they kind of put it to bed. And I read that as their way of being like, let's just have it out a little bit. You'll clarify again that you don't care. And then it'll get dropped, right? Because we'll do it in front of the ladies too, so that there won't be this like, I totally, in my gut, feel like that was the strategy behind that. Because not to say that they don't disagree, but the way she came in, Robin's not good at pretending like she didn't rehearse something. And me personally, watching her like this season specifically, it's so rehearsed. It's so like, we've been talking this through for 3 nights before production showed up. Like, that's why I did that post that like poking fun at her, because it's how it felt. It was like, read between the lines, guys. He doesn't care about you. He's only doing this because this is what he's got to do. You know, they glaze over this lawsuit. They glazed over this situation that is like, look, I get it. She doesn't want to talk about it. Fine. But again, you're welcome because you have a storyline, Robin. Juan. Anyways,
That
So-
would have been good Patreon content, like Giselle and
Well, that there you
Robin
have it.
hashing it out. It would have made a lot more sense because it's like I feel like because they have that podcast together, they're kind of like they kind of have permanent immunity against each other, right? Like you
Yeah.
can't,
Well, they're there to
you're not
protect
gonna,
each other.
yeah, you're not gonna throw your business partner under the bus. Or maybe,
And I get that too. Like I've had this conversation with Caitlin. Like if we ever went on a show and they're like we really don't have a conflict, we'll make something up. Like you
Oh.
got to do your job and create content at the end of the day. So yes, you can't always be getting along, but it's the conflicts you choose to have with people is what blows me in the end, because people take things sometimes way too far to just try to drum up some conflict where it's like, let's start surface level, like, you know, cheese platter from Roni or something really small and minute that makes the whole thing so ridiculous that it's still entertaining. But now it's like, your mom submits names to shrines and it's like, what? Where? How are we getting here now? Also, I know I'm jumping around, but it's for a good reason because a lot happened in this episode and to me is all tying together. This whole like Wendy talking about the energy vibration thing is kind of a preview as to what this whole storyline is really going to be about. I thought this may come later in the season. It's picking up speed like now. So I don't know where they're going to go with this. Like, because that scene at the, what's it called? Their first communion. You're Catholic. So how does that work?
that's what it's called.
It's first communion.
Hold
Okay.
on. First, I'm just gonna make a note about the you manufacturing conflicts for people that you're close to on reality shows, so I'm prepared for that.
Right. You wouldn't get thrown into that by yourself. Or maybe you would.
You know, I don't know. I mean, we know you in the storyline. We know what killed
Oh.
you first. So this is how a first communion works. The kid goes to CCD and Sunday school for like a bunch of years, and then they usually do like a bunch of them together, like all the kids that are ready for communion and confirmations as well. Like they kind of batch it all together, right? Or whatever. People that get confirmed, kids that get confirmed. I think you do communion then confirmation, right? So it's like the first communion, you do that. So there's like a mass for it. Usually you invite your family, even if they don't go to your church, you invite your family to go to the mass. And then, yeah, it's usually traditional to have like a brunch or a party afterwards. And it's usually something that, you know, you bring gifts, usually money. So it's just it's a money grab. No, it's not a money grab, but you know, that's usually what you do. And it's usually like a brunch or something in the daytime where it's like your close family, friends, and family, and like the kids come, and that's why that's why everybody was kind of giving Easter Sunday vibes.
Yeah, no, it was a beautiful
time.
brunch. I thought the whole thing was beautiful. I never like, to me, I guess what got confusing. So with Wendy, they really spent a majority of the episode really showing us about her faith. And, thank you, Evelyn, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Love you back. But so they're really spending a lot of time giving us this context to Wendy's spirituality, how she's raising her children, what their faith is. And she's been very explicit about their faith before. So this isn't new, but this time they're really showcasing it. Right. But, at the brunch scene where the ladies come and they all have to sit at the table and be there, there's this moment of they're playing back and forth between Wendy's mother giving this powerful speech at the same time that NECA is met up with Robin to now NECA is saying that she submitted her names to shrines. So did she initially say that to Ashley then? And we're just calling Ashley messy and maybe it's like we didn't get the full edit or something. I don't know, because also Ashley at that same brunch tells Wendy, because she told Karen, I think I was being messy. No, Ashley, you knew you were being messy and you needed to hurry up and clear.
Misremembered, which
how do you misremember?
I want to like. I don't really
I'm gonna
know
start
what the
using that.
actual. That's what I'm saying. I was like, I'm gonna look up that. What is the actual definition of misremembering? It's a little vague.
Well,
See, even
she probably
Webster has
wanted
it.
it. Maybe she meant I wanted it to be messier in my head than it actually was. So that's what I went with. But in reflecting back, the reality was that's not what she said. So
It
they
just
do
means
this.
you lied. Oxford says it means
Yes,
remember imperfectly or incorrectly.
you lied. Okay. So that
You
was clear.
untruthed it. You untruthed it.
So, everyone's all waiting to see like how's this going to go with Candace and Ashley being in the same room, and then they're sitting together, which was very nice actually that Candace gave her purse seat to Ashley. But did she ever get a seat for her purse? Which, by the way, I am 100% behind that. You do not put your handbag on the ground. It is bad juju. You do not want to do that. No, 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 no. You are literally saying that you don't want your money. That's what the whole
Then have one of those little table hooks in your thing. Then you can't just expect to take up a whole chair.
where those things need to come back. Well, they are. Where do
Did
you
they
even
post
get
them?
them? The only places I've seen them are like Nordstrom or like I'm sure Macy's sells them. Nonetheless, I assume someone gave Candace a chair for her purse, but it was nice to see Ashley kind of take some accountability for being messy or delivering something in a messy way to Wendy, and Wendy seemed to receive it and also called out the fact that she thought it was very big of Ashley and Candace to be able to come to this event and be able to be in the same room, considering that they are not on good terms whatsoever. And I thought Candace played it very well and said, I can be in a room with you anytime, meaning you're just a coworker to me. I am not going to like not show up to something because I need my check. I'm going to get in this episode, which, yeah, I would do the same thing. But she also knows that Ashley's messy. So when they play back the interview where Candace's like, see, that's why you shouldn't even waste a hair on her because you just have to know she's messy. That's just what it is.
They're all messy. They're all messy in
have
their own way. Like some of them are messy, like messy to other people, and some of them are just sloppy on their own. Like Robin's sloppy on her own stuff. She can't get her shit together. Like like
I feel like Robin's always just woken up from like a chaotic night. And she's just like, what? Oh, okay. We're filming. Oh, okay. I don't care.
Seem like hungover when she shows up.
I don't care.
What are we
I don't
doing
care.
today?
That's all we're gonna get out of her. I don't just make the t-shirt now, Rob. I don't care. Y'all would sell so many. Every scene, it's like, well, I don't care. Do you want me to yell at him? I don't know. Do something. Do something. Love, you're just sitting here having a beer. We're on a show. Can you pretend to give a like Giselle really was trying to pull it out of her? She was like, well, that was a F1 moment, Robin. And she just still like,
what do
you should get some
do?
you should get some steps for this back area. That's what you should like. That's not what we came here to talk about. But also I want to point out, they're either cutting Charisse out altogether or she just here to like, I'm still confused why we brought Charisse back, because up until this point, I've only seen some fake tears come out of her when she tried to make that whole Juan situation about her. Like, what else, Charisse? And I really want Charisse to be on. I want to see her in action. But
Do you? It doesn't sound like it.
Because I'm not seeing anything from her. So I'm just questioning, is the editors finding what she's saying not good enough or it's not fitting enough? So they just make her seem like she just like kind of like what they're doing to Crystal on Beverly Hills, because she's come out and said, no, I actually said something in that scene. They just didn't show it. But it's like, if you didn't know that, you'd be like, wow, she's really just like sitting there mute.
But wait, is Charisse actually on or is she a friend of?
She's just a friend.
Okay. Well, that's not as bad as Crystal. I think she's actually.
But like, why? Why do you even have her on? I just don't understand it. Just make her a friend of and just like do that.
Leave Crystal alone.
Well, I know I love Crystal. Are you kidding? I just find it like weird. Like they're just cutting her out. So, but nonetheless,
then justice for Crystal. Let's get her.
Absolutely, get those.
freaking screen time.
Get those sound bites in there. This is why it's important, ladies. You got to talk over each other because you don't know. They might cut you out if you wait for someone to finish. But at the same time, this brunch is happening for Wendy and her boys for their first communion. We have Robin meeting up with NECA to have a one-on-one. And, NECA then starts to say that, because Robin brings up, well, it seemed like you guys hadn't met before at Ashley's house. And they did ask Wendy, I think it was the first episode or the second episode, but they asked her, have you met NECA? Do you know her? And she said she has seen her before. Like there's people in connection. So it's not that she doesn't. I also feel like production would have told Wendy, even if you have met her once before, on camera, pretend like you're meeting for the first time, because that's generally how they introduce people on the show, is like there's a new woman. So you don't want to always make it seem like everyone knows each other all the time behind the scenes. So I was thinking Wendy was going with that notion at Ashley's party by pretending like we're just meeting.
Totally pretending. Look, I'm not Nigerian, but I know I can speak with a high level of confidence that just about every Nigerian in the DMV knows
of each other
or knows of each other or is a cousin. Like,
yes, especially here because it's such a big community here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's beautiful. It's great to have that community.
But
I mean,
that's why I think that's why I think also it wasn't really believable. I guess to others, like, girl, you've seen her at least. You can say it's nice to see you again, right? Or like, yes, we've seen each other around, but I just feel like
she was probably at her like niece's christening or something. Let's be real.
But she said it when she was talking to Robin. She said
probably was at her wedding.
She saw her at a birthday party, I think, and another event, and she was quick in the interview to be shading Wendy and said all I saw was like these. Basically, like Wendy was gawking at her with these big eyebrows. And so she took her Louboutins and went somewhere else, basically. So that was some shade towards Wendy, but then goes on to tell Robin that she basically, Wendy's mom, it got a little confusing with the roundup, but essentially, guys, Wendy's mom, I guess, heard that NECA was claiming that she knew Wendy. So now she's referencing the show. So in this moment, she's basically saying that Wendy allegedly got upset when she found out NECA was possibly in the running to join the show, and maybe heard that NECA said, yes, I have met Wendy before, or I know of her. And she says that Wendy said, allegedly, that she was only using her name or saying that she knew her for clout to try to get in with the group, meaning get on the show. So that's when her mom allegedly was, I guess, sent the shots out to the other family members to be like, look, I'm going to submit your daughter's name to the shrine because you guys keep messing around using my daughter's name. I'm going to put your daughter's name on this shrine. And then Robin has been the most animated I've ever seen her in this entire season thus far in this lunch. Why? Because it's not about her and Juan. So she's like, what? The head's moving. She's like, the face is, I was like, wow, more of this, please, Robin. But so Robin then has a light bulb moment and she goes, oh my God, maybe she submitted my name to the shrine. That's why all of this is happening to me. And it's like, wait a minute. Why would she
care less about you?
Care less about you, babes. Even if that was true, why would she pick you? I was like, you are joking, Robin. That is not why this is happening to you, my love.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, what did you think of that whole story that NECA was giving Robin? That was wild. That is like so crazy.
I mean, her mom's a very strong woman, and like Wendy said, right, like you mess with one of her babies, remember, because she even called their grandkids. She said, those are my kids, right? Because they wouldn't be here if I didn't birth you. So she was like, those are mine. I don't know who you're thinking. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's just sort of like shade in the community, like. But you know what my favorite part of the
serious.
whole like first communion party scene was like when was like it was weird. Like Karen and Wendy and maybe it was Candace. They were sitting at that like really small table for some reason, right? Sort of in the beginning. And
Yeah.
then Wendy's mom comes over, and I didn't really understand the dig that she was making when she was like, "Oh, is NECA here yet? Because I need to go get my raincoat." I mean, I knew it was something shady, but I didn't quite understand. Do you know what that meant? The raincoat? I don't know. Anyway, she kind of just said a couple shady things and like walked away. And both like Karen and Wendy were like, and Karen was like, "Did you just come over here and clear the table?"
I'm telling you,
I love
Karen is
that.
in. I am loving Karen. I've always loved Karen, but I am really loving her this season. She is just on a different level. But look, I will say this. I think this is a great season so far. So if you haven't watched yet, guys, like
No, it's good.
it's good. And it's not a slow pickup at all. We jump right into the thick of it with Robin stuff because we're like, I feel like we're going to continue to be talking about this. There's no way they're going to just let this drop at Ashley's house like it's all done. But I'm really, I'm kind of interested to see how this NECA Wendy's mom submitting names to shrines thing kind of pans out, because we see in the next episode's preview that at least she confronts Wendy with the information. So because I was a little worried. I was like, how long are we going to go with Wendy not knowing that NECA has been saying this now? Because we've only seen her say this to Robin. We really don't know how many other scenes she's filmed with other ladies and who else knows this information.
Well, I mean, let's be clear too. The community knows each other, and the community also talks too. So it's like if she's putting out out there on TV, and I'm sure they both have a large community following since they're on the two successful Nigerian women on the show. I mean, I'm sure all of their community is tuning in. So
yeah, well,
that.
Mademoiselle's answered your question about the raincoat. She said it wasn't a funny joke, but she was referring to Mia throwing the drink on Wendy, which is why she would need a raincoat.
Yes. Thank you, Mademoiselle. Yeah.
And I'm not going to say, but I should have gotten that. And I'm not going to use Wendy's word for Mia, but that's how I feel right now. And if Wendy wants to call me that in the future, she can do so. And I want to go back to this comment quickly before we close out the episode. Aquarius, the only real sign, says that NECA has now turned her Instagram comments off. So that's interesting.
Did she just turn them off after this episode, or is it?
I'm assuming
was
that's
this her
what that
debut? Was this the first episode?
No, she was on, I want to say the second episode. They introduced her because
I remember because we were rewatching episode 2 last night, and that was her like intro, and she was like, "My daddy is a rich bitch," or something, and she made something, whatever, and we saw their house, and they're like, whatever, and her whole like, we forgot how many properties we had.
Well, I would like to say that I'm excited for the season. I'm excited to get to know NECA more, and I'm obviously here for the messiness. And depending on how the season goes, I guess we'll see like what type of reunion we're going to be getting. Also, guys, before I close out the episode, Salt Lake City's dropped the reunion seating chart. So I'll just tell you, it's not a shocker based on the most current events. But so it looks like Monica and Heather are going to be sitting right next to Andy. And then yeah. And that's crazy.
Sensation. Let's talk about that.
She worked really hard to come in and blow up her entire family. So she deserves it. So from Monica, next to Monica is Meredith. And then next to Meredith is Whitney, another end seat for Whitney. From the other side, Heather, obviously next to Andy, and then next to Heather is our baby Gorgeous. And then next to baby Gorgeous is Angie, my Greek sister. And then we have Mary sitting as friend of next to Angie. Not shocked by that because obviously we know that there is a lawsuit between Beauty Lab and Monica Fowler, Darnell, Garcia, whichever she wants to go by. So that'll be interesting because this reunion, I think, is not going to be. It's going to probably be a 3-parter, and justifiably, because between what goes on in the season and the stuff that's happened outside of the stuff and what happened at BravoCon, it's going to be a messy, messy reunion. But I am here for it.
Remember at the beginning of the season when I said like Monica was my favorite this new housewife ever, and I think she was just like fantastic, and this is gonna be like so awesome, and like she could do no wrong.
That went away in like 2 episodes for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like rethink my like clairvoyant media career.
Well, quickly
Stick to 90 Day.
Before we close out on this live, thank you guys for joining and getting the chat fired up. It's really motivating. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Evelyn for the super chat again. But before I close out, Jeff, tell everyone where they can find you and what they should expect from your content.
What on earth am I doing? So I'm currently blowing up Instagram. I'm working really hard to get there. I guess you could say I'm an overall TLC fanatic, but my 90 Day Fiance was my gateway drug. So that's where I am commenting, recapping. I watch all the episodes. I do, a scene by, little quick recap. I do some deep dives on some of like the more juicy scenes of that episode because like I said, they're all like an hour and a half. So I mean it's even really hard to do like a 2-minute recap. So I'm doing that and also launching. I have a couple podcast episodes, doing like more in-depth recaps. Georgio has been, a super fan and helping me get that off the ground. So that's what I'm doing. I'm kind of just diving into TLC. So 90 Day, currently we have 2 franchises of 90 Day happening. We also have Family Chantel final chapter. And, when I can get a minute, I'm going to start recapping Sister Wives as well. And we've also been watching Plathville. Well, again, there's just so much to unpack. All these people are bananas. So
well,
that's what I'm doing.
Thank God for you because there is a lot going on over there at TLC. So yes, please go check out Jeffrey Speaks podcast. Look him up on Instagram, hit the follow, get in early because he is plowing down some content. I woke up this morning at 5:30 and he'd already posted 2 stories and a reel. And that is not something that I would have done. But yes, guys.
Well, not all of us had to get ready for our like segment on Fox 5.
Well, we all have different Monday mornings sometimes. But anyways, before I close out this episode, I do want to let you guys know that I did post on my Instagram stories, but essentially I'm trying to plan a cool trip with you guys somehow. But first, I need to find out if A, you'd even be interested in going somewhere with me and traveling and doing that. And B, if you are, then with the help of Trova Trip, all itineraries, everything would be taken care of. And all you would need to do is show up. So I know it sounds too good to be true, guys. I felt the same way, but it is actually true. We can do this. So if you guys do want to do that, head on over to my Instagram. The link is in my bio. You can take a quick survey. Or you can go to my Instagram stories. The link is attached there as well. Thank you, Jeffrey Speaks podcast. And thanks for joining me and recapping Potomac. And thanks for being my producer and guest when I don't have one. We love you so much. And everyone, please go follow Jeffrey everywhere and listen to his podcast on Spotify. It's really good. I'm going to close out this episode, guys. This has been a really great live podcast episode and experience. So I am excited to continue this forward. And until the next episode, everyone, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.